The soldier opened his eyes slowly. Darkness was all around him, cold. Metal touched his back. His head was heavy. A sharp pain moved through his leg. He tried to sit, but his body refused to move. Smoke floated in the air like fog. Something had exploded. He could smell fire. He could smell blood. The sound of a broken fan echoed above him. It clicked and turned and stopped again. The light above blinked once, then it died. He looked around, but everything was a blurred. Warning lights flashed across the wall. A strange humming sound came from the far end of the room. His fingers touched his helmet, but it was gone. His hand moved to his belt. No gun, no knife, no device, nothing. He was alone. He tried to speak, but his throat was dry. Only a soft cough came out. He pulled himself up using the wall. His body screamed in pain, but he did not stop. He was a soldier. He had trained for pain. He had lived through worse, but this was different. This place was not a battlefield. It felt wrong. It felt quiet too. Quiet, the kind of quiet before something terrible. He took a slow step forward, then another. The floor was cold and smooth like glass. The walls looked like steel, but they were not. They were black and full of patterns. The symbols moved like water. They were alive. He touched the wall. It felt warm. Suddenly a soft voice came from the dark. It was near. It was behind him. It was a whisper, a girl's voice, soft, calm, not afraid, not human. The voice said, "Are you my new master?" The soldier froze. He turned quickly. His heart beat faster. He reached for a weapon he did not have. There was nothing, just shadows. Then she stepped forward. She was not like any girl he had ever seen. She was young. Her skin was pale blue. Her eyes glowed like stars. Her hair floated like it had no weight. She wore a strange silver dress that moved with light. She looked at him with no fear. She looked at him like she already knew him. He took a step back. "Who are you?" he asked. She tilted her head. Her voice was soft again. "I am yours," he said. He did not understand. She walked closer. "You were chosen," she said. "You are the last one. The ship has given me to you. You are the master now." The soldier shook his head. He asked, "What ship? What place? What was going on?" She pointed to the walls. "This is the ship," she said. "We are inside it. You were brought here after the war. You were sleeping. You were broken. The ship fixed you. Now you are awake. Now I serve you." Soldier felt dizzy. His mind ran in circles. He tried to remember. He tried to think of the last battle, explosions, voices, orders, then silence. He had been on a mission. He had been with his unit. Something had gone wrong. He had been left behind, or maybe captured, or maybe worse. He looked at her again. "Why do you say you belong to Mesh?" Looked at him with strange, calm eyes. "Because I was made to serve one master, and now you are the only one left. The ship chose you. You survived. That makes you the master." He asked if she was a machine. She said no. She said she was something between life and creation, not born, not built. She said she was given as a reward for winning the war, but he did not feel like a winner. He felt broken. He felt like a ghost. He asked her name. She said she had no name. He asked what she wanted. She said she wanted nothing, only to follow, only to protect, only to obey. The soldier looked into her glowing eyes. He did not know if he could trust her, but he knew one thing: he was not alone, and he needed answers. He took a deep breath. He said, "Then show me the way." She smiled for the first time, and the ship around them lit up slowly, like it had heard him, like it had been waiting. The walls opened into a long hallway. Strange lights moved on the floor like stars. The air felt heavy. The ship was waking too, and far away, deep in the dark, something else was watching. Something old, something cold, something not human. But for now the soldier walked, and the girl followed, and the whisper stayed in his mind. "Are you my new master?" The soldier followed the girl into the hallway. The walls were alive with moving lights. They flowed like rivers on black glass. The ship made no sound, but it felt like it was breathing. He walked slowly. Each step echoed through the long passage. He looked at the girl beside him. She moved like air. Her feet touched the floor, but made no sound. She looked calm, too calm, like this was her home. He asked where they were going. She said to the heart of the ship. He asked again what she was. She said she was made, not born like humans, made for one purpose only: to serve the one who wins the war. He said he never asked for her. She said it did not matter. The reward was promised, and now the ship had delivered. It stopped and looked at her. He asked what she meant by reward. She looked into his eyes. The war ended before it should have. There was something they were not meant to find. You found it. You were not supposed to survive, but you did so. Now the prize is yours. He said he remembered nothing. She said the ship can help. It keeps memory. It stores truth, but Only for the chosen one she turned and walked into a large round room. The walls were high and curved like a dome. In the center was a black table without legs. It floated in the air. Its surface moved like water. She told him to place his hand on either. Stepped forward and touched it. His hand sank slightly into the table. It was warm then, it was cold then. It showed him something, a battle in the sky, ships exploding like fireflies, voices shouting, then silence, then one ship falling into the void. That ship, this ship, he saw himself inside it, bleeding, dying alone. The girl was beside him. You were sent here to find something, she said, something powerful, something hidden, but they lied to you, your own people. They sent you here to die. You were not meant to return. He pulled his hand back. His heart was racing. He asked why. She said the truth was always heavy, too heavy for soldiers. Looked at him with sad eyes. I was sent here long before you. I was kept in sleep until you arrived. The ship kept me safe because it was waiting. It waits for the one who survives. She walked around the table. Her hand touched the black wall. It opened like a flower. Inside was a screen full of symbols. She said she could read them. She could feel them. She was connected to the ship, but only through the master, only through him. He asked again, who made her? She said, the ones who built this ship. They were not like humans, not like any species in the war. They came before, they vanished long ago, but their machines still live. Their rules still guide the ship. She was built using their design, half living, half something else. She was a bridge between power and will, between command and control, and now she belonged to him. The soldier stepped back. He felt small. He felt lost. He looked around the room. Everything was too strange, too quiet, too smooth. He asked her what she wanted from him. She said, nothing. I want nothing. I only follow. I only protect. He asked what happened to the rest of his team. She looked away. Her voice dropped lower. They were taken. The ship did not accept them. Only you were chosen. He asked if they were dead. She said, the ship never kills, it only rejects, and those who are rejected become lost. They fade, they become shadows. He remembered their faces. His friends gone, and he was alive, but what made him different? He asked this, but she gave no answer. She only said, the ship sees something in you, it always chooses for a reason. He sat down on the floor. His body was tired, his mind was tired. The girl sat beside him. She looked at him like she understood his pain. She said, you have many questions. The ship holds many answers, but you must be ready to see them. You must choose to see them. He looked at her again. She was not just a tool, not just a gift. She was something more. She had thought, she had feeling. He asked if she could leave the ship. She said, no, she was born here. She would die here unless the ship chose otherwise. And now it was connected to him. The link was made. Their fates were one. The soldier stood again. He said he wanted to know everything. He said he would find the truth. She smiled, the first real smile, and the ship responded. The walls shifted, the lights changed. A path opened before them, and from deep within the ship a sound began to rise, not loud, but endless. A humatala signalin, the girl said softly. The ship has accepted you now. We go to its heart now. It will show you what it hides, but not all truth is safe. Not all memories should return. And behind her words, the whisper came again. Are you my new master, or are you my final one? And the soldier followed her because he had no other choice, and because the truth was already waking. The hallway opened wider as the soldier followed the alien girl. The lights above their heads pulsed slowly like the breath of a sleeping giant. The floor beneath them glowed with soft blue light, and the air felt thick and strange. Every step felt heavier, like they were walking deeper into the body of something alive. The walls around them were covered in patterns that shifted and changed with every movement. The soldier could feel something watching from those walls, but he saw no eyes and heard no sound. He asked where they were going, and she answered with one word, the core, the ship's heart, the place where all answers wait. The path twisted like a spiral, and the walls began to grow taller. Symbols moved faster across the surface, like they were reacting to his presence. He looked at the girl and asked if she was afraid. She shook her head and said she had no fear because she had walked this path before in her dreams. She had seen the core in visions given by the ship. She said the ship spoke to her in silence and showed her things that never happened and things that might still come. The soldier asked if the ship was alive. She said it was something more and something less, not living, like a person, not dead, like a machine. It remembers everything and forgets nothing. It sleeps and wakes and watches, and it waits for the right soul. The soldier asked what the right soul means. She stopped and looked at him with her glowing eyes. The right soul is the one who survives the test the one who walks into the unknown and does not turn back, the one who is broken but still stands, and you are that soul. Now he did not know how to answer, he only kept walking. They reached a large door that had no handles or hinges. The girl placed her hand on it, and the wall melted away. Beyond the door was a room with no edges, no corners, just space, endless space, and at the center of that space was the core. It floated like a heart, without strings. It was black and full of light. At the same time, it turned slowly in the air. It sang without sound. The soldier felt a sharp pain in his chest as he looked at Eve. Stepped back. He said, "It hurts." The girl said, "It only hurts when the truth is near." He asked what this place was. She said, "It was not built by humans and not by any species known in the galaxy. This ship was a relic of something that came before stars before. It was found buried in a dead moon. No one knew how it got there, but many wanted to own it, so war followed you. Were sent to take it. You were told it was a weapon, but it was never meant to kill it. It was meant to choose." He said, "This makes no sense." She said, "That is because you are still thinking like a soldier, not like a chosen one." She walked to the core and stood beneath it. She raised her hand. The core glowed brighter, and the room changed. Images appeared in the air around them, worlds, burning armies, falling ships, vanishing, then peace, silence, darkness. Then a single light, a man standing alone. He saw himself wounded, lost, but standing. The girl said, "The ship chose you before you even arrived. It saw your pain and your will. It saw the fire in you that refuses to die, and now it offers itself not as a weapon but as a Kaya doorway to something greater." The soldier asked what that greater thing is. She looked at him and said she does not know, because even she is not allowed to see that far. Only the chosen may go forward, only the one who dares. He looked at the core. It pulsed again, and this time the pain in his chest turned to heat. He stepped closer. The air around him felt like thick water. He reached out. His fingers touched the core, and in that moment the ship opened its memory to him. He saw the truth. He saw the betrayal his team left behind. His commander giving secret orders. His mission was not to capture the ship. It was to die with Ito, make sure no one ever reached this place. He pulled his hand away. He was shaking. He looked at the girl. She nodded. "You were never meant to live, but you did, and now the ship belongs to you." Soldier said he did not want it. She said, "That does not matter. It has already chosen." He looked at the walls. They were no longer cold. They pulsed like veins. He looked at the lights. They moved like thoughts. The ship was alive, and now it was a part of him. He asked, "What comes next?" She said, "The ship will take you where you need to go, but first you must pass one more test." He asked what test. She looked at him and said, "The test of truth, of memory, of power." And as she spoke, the room darkened. The core dimmed, and from the walls a new door opened, dark, silent, waiting, and he knew he had to walk through it because there was no turning back, not anymore. And behind him the whisper returned, soft, familiar, "Are you my new master, or are you my final hope?" The soldier stood at the edge of the new doorway. Darkness stared back at him like a mouth ready to swallow. The alien girl stood behind him, silent and calm. Her voice reached him without sound, like thought turned to whisper. "This is the place the ship hides from itself. This is the place where the test begins." The soldier took one step forward, and the ground under his boots turned colder. The air grew thicker, like walking into old smoke. He heard nothing, not the ship, not her, only the sound of his own breath, his own heartbeat. Each step felt heavier than the last. The light behind him faded as the doorway closed, like an eye going to sleep. Now he was alone, completely alone. The hallway in front of him stretched like a tunnel without end. Its walls were different, no symbols, no lights, only lines scratched by something with claws. He touched the wall and felt the marks dip, angry, fresh. He kept walking. He did not speak. He did not call her name. He knew she could not follow. She was not allowed. This test was his and his alone. He walked until the hallway opened into a large chamber. The ceiling above looked torn, like something broke through it. Pieces of metal hung from the top like sharp teeth. The floor was covered in dust and old wires. He stepped forward and something cracked under his Booth looked down, not wire, not metal, bones, human bones, clean and dry and broken. He knelt and picked up a dog tag, turned it over in his hand, a name, a number, a symbol. It belonged to someone from his team, someone left behind, someone lost. He stood up and looked around. Shadows moved, not fast, not slow, just waiting, watching. He reached for a weapon. He had nothing, only his hands, only his memory. Something moved to his left. He turned, nothing. Something moved to his right. He Turned again, still nothing. Then he saw Ida figure. In the dark tall thin, its eyes glowed faint like dying stars. It did not speak, it only watched then. It stepped back into the dark. He followed. He had no reason, only a strange pull like a thread around his chest. It led him into another room. This one was smaller, filled with machines covered in dust screens, broken chairs. Flipped, he saw more bones, more dog tags. He picked up another name. He knew another soldier gone. He heard a sound behind him, a whisper, not the girl, not the ship, something else, something. Cold, he turned and saw them, 3 figures, all wearing pieces of human armor, but their faces were long too. Thin, their skin was pale and stretched, their eyes glowed. They were not alive, but they moved. They circled him without sound, like ghosts hunting. Memory, he backed away slowly. He tried to speak, nothing came out. The air stole his voice. One of the figures stepped closer. It tilted its head like it was studying him. Then it reached out its hand. Its fingers were long and sharp. It touched his chest, and in that moment he saw everything, their faces, their pain, their death. They were his team, twisted, changed, left behind and taken by the ship, not dead, not alive, something between, trapped in the test. He pulled back and shouted, no sound, only breath, only fear. The figures stepped away. They did not chase him. They watched him, and then they turned and walked into the wall, not through a door, into the wall itself, like smoke into wind. He stood alone again, breathing hard, sweating. The room was still. The silence returned, but now he understood. This was not a test of fear. It was a test of memory, of guilt. The ship showed him what he left behind, what he forgot, what he tried not to remember, and it asked him one question without words. Do you still deserve to move forward? He dropped the dog tags. He walked out of the room and into another hallway. This one was warmer. The lights above flickered to life, soft and slow, and at the end of the path she waited. The alien girl, standing with her hands folded, her eyes calm, her face unreadable. She said nothing. He said nothing, but she knew. She always knew. She reached out her hand. He took it without question, and the ship around them shifted like it took a deep breath, like it had seen his truth and had made a choice. The floor lit up under his feet, the walls opened like petals, and the path ahead was clear again. But behind him the whisper returned, not soft, this time louder, older, many voices speaking as one. Are you the last one? Are you the one we waited for? Are you the one who leaves, or the one who joins us? In the dark he turned away. He walked forward, and the alien girl walked beside him, and for the first time since he woke up he felt something strange, hope. The soldier walked in silence as the lights above him grew softer with each step. The alien girl moved beside him without sound, her glowing eyes fixed on the path ahead. She said nothing, and yet he felt her voice inside his thoughts like wind under water. The ship was not quiet anymore. It was whispering again, but not with fear. This time it was speaking, like it remembered him, like it had waited for this walk for a very long time. He asked her where they were going. She answered with a single word, center. He asked what was waiting there. She stopped walking and turned toward him. Her voice entered his mind. Your truth. He looked at her and asked if she knew already. She nodded once but did not explain. She reached out her hand and touched the wall beside her. The wall opened like skin parting under a slow blade behind. It was a room filled with floating lights and mirrors without reflection. She stepped aside and let him walk in first. He entered the room and felt a wave of warmth cover his body, not heat, like fire, warmth like memory. The lights floated around him and stopped in place. Each one pulsed once, and then the mirrors came to life. They did not show his face. They showed pieces of him, moments he forgot, moments he buried. He saw himself as a boy standing in the rain as ships flew overhead. He saw the day he signed the order to send his first unit into battle. He saw the first time he fired a gun at something that spoke. He saw metals. He saw blood. He saw betrayal in the eyes of those he left behind. The alien girl stepped closer and whispered, the ship sees all of you, not just what you show, but what you hide. He turned toward her and asked why. She said, because the ship does not serve the strong, it serves the honest. He looked back at the mirrors and saw more. He saw the mission. He saw his commander. He saw the lies. He had not volunteered for this journey. He had been chosen to be thrown away, a ghost mission, a final task with no return. Take the ship, find the weapon, do not come back. He had obeyed. He had followed the order, but he survived. And now the truth was opening like a wound. He dropped to his knees. As the mirrors showed the last moment, the blast, the scream, the silence, his blood on the floor, his eyes closing, and Then the girl standing over him awake waiting calling. Him, master, she said, the ship brought you back not because of what you did, but because of what you could still become. The ship does not forget pain, it keeps it alive, but it also watches how you carry it, how you grow from Ith. Asked if he deserved the truth, she walked in front of him and offered her hand again. Deserve is not the word. She said, is not about worth it, is about choice. The ship wants to know what you will choose to be now. Soldier servante master ghost, you cannot be all. He stood again and faced the mirrors. He touched one, it turned black, the lights dimmed, the room changed again. Now he was in a chamber filled with stars, not real stars, memories of stars, places. The ship had seen worlds that no longer existed. He asked her if the ship had destroyed them. She said, no, the ship remembers everything it touches, everything it loves, everything it loses, and now it remembers. He asked if she was part of that memory. She nodded. I was made from memory and code and sorrow, but now I live because you live. He looked around the chamber and felt smaller than ever before, not weak, just small, like a drop inside a sea, too old to measure. He asked if he could leave. She said, not yet. First, you must answer. The lights gathered above them and formed a circle. Inside that circle was a table, a simple black table, just like the one before. She said, place your hand. He hesitated. Then he stepped forward. He placed his hand, and the table showed one final memory, not his, hers. He saw her creation. He saw her first thought. He saw her fear. He saw her waiting, always waiting for the one for him. He pulled back and looked at her. You have waited a long time. She smiled and said, not anymore. Now we begin. The chamber opened and a new path formed in the air. It led upward into light, into sound, into whatever came next. And the whisper came again, not from the ship, not from her, but from himself. I remember. The path rose like a bridge made of breath and memory. Each step felt softer than air and stronger than steel. The lights around the soldier danced like fireflies. Caught in a slow dream, the alien girl walked beside him, her face calm, her eyes full of something he could not name. She did not speak, and yet he felt her thoughts like distant thunder under calm waves. The air grew warmer as they moved higher. The ship was changing again, not in shape, but in spirit. It no longer watched with cold eyes. It listened now like an old soul waiting for a story it had heard once long ago. At the top of the path they reached a chamber so bright it burned without heat. A soft white glow filled the space, and in the center was a tall structure made of black stone and silver veins. It pulsed with a slow rhythm like a giant heart too old to die. The girl pointed to it and said, this is the core mind. This is where the ship breathes. This is where it speaks its first and last word. The soldier stepped forward, his hand trembling, though no fear touched his heart. Only wait, only truth, only choice. He asked what he must do. She said, the core waits for one final answer. It has seen your past. It has tested your mind. It has touched your pain. Now it will ask who you are and what you wish to become. He asked what happens if he gives the wrong answer. She said, there is no wrong answer, only the price of the truth you choose. The soldier looked at the core and saw himself reflected in its surface, not his body, not his face, his soul. He saw every wound, every silence, every scream that stayed hidden. He saw the moment he stopped being a man and became something else, a weapon, a tool, a shadow used by others and discarded in darkness. He stepped closer. The core pulsed once and the chamber shifted. He stood now on a battlefield made of memory. His armor was covered in ashes. Hands were red with blood, not his own. Around him were voices, familiar voices calling him, blaming him, begging him, forgiving him. All at once he closed his eyes, but the voices did not stop. They were not ghosts. They were echoes of choice. Each one shaped him. Each one burned him. The alien girl stood beside him, her eyes wide, her hands open. This is the part no one can help you with, she said. This is the part only you can walk through. He opened his eyes and faced the memory. He stepped into it. Without fear, he saw the day he gave the order. He saw the village burn. He saw the child fall. He saw the soldier hesitate, then obey. He saw the reward promised. He saw the lie. He saw the truth. He was not chosen because he was pure. He was chosen because he was real. He was not clean. He was not whole, but he was still standing, still choosing, still breathing. The core spoke, not with words, but with presence. It filled him. It wrapped around him. It asked one question without sound. What are you now? He looked at the girl. She waited without judgment. He looked at the memory. It waited without mercy. He looked at the ship. It waited without time. He whispered his answer, I am broken, but I am men. The core pulsed again, and the battlefield faded. The Chamber returned, the light shifted, and from the walls, a new voice rose. Not the ship, not the girl, something else older, darker. It said, one may leave, one may stay, only one. The girl turned to him and smiled soft and sad. It was always going to be this way, she said. You were meant to rise, I was meant to guide. Now the choice must be made. He said, no. He said, we both leave. She shook her head. The ship must stay awake. It cannot be left alone. It needs one soul to keep it breathing. That soul was me until I gave it to you. Now you must decide. He stepped back. He could not speak. The chamber was spinning. The light grew dim. He reached for her hand. She took. I felt warmth. Then he felt nothing. She stepped into the center of the core. The light rose. The ship shook like thunder rolling across stars. The core dimmed, then burst into quiet peace. The girl was gone. The soldier stood alone, but he felt her still. Not in the room, not in the walls inside him, part of him forever. The chamber opened. A new path revealed itself, and the ship whispered again, no longer asking now, only saying, you are the master. And beyond the door the stars waited, and the silence was no longer empty, because now he carried a voice that would never leave him, a voice that had no fear, a voice that had no end. Soldier stepped onto the final path. As the light behind him faded into silence, his footsteps echoed without sound across a bridge that did not seem real below him. The stars turned slowly like the eyes of sleeping giants above him. The ship opened like a great flower, its petals made of memory and sorrow. He was alone now, yet not alone. Her voice remained inside him, not loud, not soft, only present. She had given her soul to the ship, and the ship had given its truth to him. He no longer walked like a soldier, he walked like something reborn. Ahead of him stood a final chamber, round and open like the center of a storm. At its heart floated a single chair carved from black crystal. It pulsed with light like a quiet heart waiting to beat. The ship spoke without words, and its voice flowed through the walls and floor. You are the master now. You hold the key and the code. You may leave and carry our memory, or you may stay and become it. The soldier looked at the chair and saw himself seated there, not as a man, but as a shadow made of choice and regret. He asked if the chair was a prison. The ship answered with silence. The girl's voice whispered from deep within him, it is not a prison unless you sit without purpose. He turned away from the chair and walked to the edge of the chamber. A wall melted into glass, revealing space in all its wild silence. He saw a fleet drifting in the dark hold. Ships, wounded ships from both sides of the war, forgotten and lost. None moved, none lived. They were monuments to failure. He asked the ship if they could be reached. The ship answered with silence again. He asked if there were others like him. The girl's voice whispered again, none like you, not anymore. He placed his hand on the glass and felt warmth rise through his skin. The ship was alive, but it was also tired. It wanted rest, it wanted peace, but it could not rest until its last story was told. He closed his eyes and breathed in that breath. He felt the weight of every moment, every order, every scream, every silence. He asked the ship what it wanted from him now. The ship answered with a vision, a planet full of light, a city made of music and stone children, laughing machines planting trees instead of mines. He saw peace not yet born. He saw the cost to leave was to begin again, to stay was to guard the gate forever. He turned and looked at the chair again. It still pulsed, still waited. He heard the girl's voice. One more time, you were made to fight, but you were not made to be forgotten. Tell them the truth, then live. I stepped back from the glass and walked toward the center of the chamber. He stopped before the chair. He did not sigh, placed his hand on its surface, and the ship sang not with music, with memory. It poured into him like fire without pain. He saw every place the ship had been, every soul. It had carried every lie. It had watched every truth it had buried. Now it gave him one final gift, the path home. A door opened behind him. Light spilled in, not harsh, not cold, but warm like sunrise over water. He turned away from the chair and walked toward the door. With each step the voice inside him grew quieter, not fading, resting. The ship spoke one last time, not as a whisper, as a blessing. You are not our master, you are our story. He stepped through the door and felt gravity return, not the pull of planets, the pull of purpose. He was no longer a weapon, no longer a ghost. He was a man who remembered this. He remembered he could begin again. A new ship waited at the edge of the dock, small, old, still breathing. He climbed aboard and placed his hand on the console. It lit up and spoke in her voice one word only, welcome. He smiled for the first time in many years, not because the war was over, not because the pain had vanished, but because he had survived it with his soul. The Engines hummed, the stars shifted, the ship turned slowly toward the unknown behind. Him, the great ship closed its eyes for the first time in 1,000 years, and the silence was no longer lonely, it was whole, it was peace. He looked ahead, he saw nothing, he saw everything, and somewhere far behind in the folds of memory and Timmy a voice waited, not calling for a master, calling for something greater, a witness, a builder, a dreamer, and the soldier who was no longer a soldier answered without words.